What's up, Brozones? Welcome to the Ozone and welcome to the Tales from the Pizzaplex Mega Pizzaplex map explained. If you don't understand what I may be referring to by that, let me explain. In Tales from the Pizzaplex 2, it became fully apparent that some of the stories in Tales from the Pizzaplex are connected to each other, just like how in the Fazbear Fright series we have the Stitch line, which was the timeline of the Stitch Raid stingers, including all of the stories connected to it. In these stories, they actually seem to be building us a little bit of a timeline, but on top of that it appears that we are getting an actual map of what the Mega Pizzaplex used to look like. So today we're going to go through the information we get in Happs, and then for those of you who are okay with Somnophobia spoilers, I'd also like to give further information about what we know. So the first detail we get from Happs is that the Mega Pizzaplex is apparently pizza shaped. By that, Jace means it has a circular configuration. When Aiden and Jace had come to the Pizzaplex the first time, the place had been overwhelming. It was huge. Fortunately though, its layout was pretty simple. The Pizzaplex was shaped like a pizza. Because of this round configuration, Jace had told Aiden he thought the Pizzaplex was sort of a giant clock of fun. We'll get more into the clock in a second. One thing I would like to touch upon though is that there isn't actually any indication in Security Breach that this is the case for the Pizzaplex in the games. Sure, both Happs and Security Breach take place in the Mega Pizzaplex, but in a preview for Tales from the Pizzaplex number 4, Submechanophobia, we learn that there are actually multiple Mega Pizzaplexes in the US. So with that in mind, we have to ask the question, do all of these connected stories happen in the same Mega Pizzaplex as Security Breach? I would say it's still possible, especially knowing that Happs opens up with Aiden and Jace leaving the Phaserblast area, but that's something for you to think about. So the Pizzaplex is a circular structure with a layout that can be compared to a clock. So let's take the 12 points on a clock and make them all potential locations. Now we can work out where everything goes. Because Freddy's Pizzeria was the inspiration for everything in the Pizzaplex, Jace suggested that the big dining area where the pizza was served was noon on the clock. Noon of course means 12, so we will put that straight up north. Then we get quite a big burst of locations we can stick down. Apparently the laser tag was at 4 o'clock. Of course that has to be Phaserblast. Laser tag was at 4 o'clock. The entrance to Freddy's Fortress was between the Carnival Games area in the 2 o'clock position, and the arcade was in the 3 o'clock position. This is actually quite a complex sentence, so I'm just going to take what I feel is definitely right. My interpretation is that Freddy's Fortress is in the 2 o'clock position and the arcade is in the 3 o'clock position. I'm not entirely sure where that puts the carnival area, because the sentence is structured weirdly, but I'm sure at least those two placements are correct. When Aiden had charged out of the laser tag arena, he'd headed left instead of right, so they'd ended up in front of the bumper cars, which was at 7 o'clock on Jace's imaginary clock face. This one is pretty obvious to piece together, but right after we get a mention of the roleplay area, which we can't really place on the map because there's no location really given. Just beyond the dining room, the carousel spun in kaleidoscopic colour and tinkling musical sound as they passed it. We've already placed the dining area, so let's put a carousel in front of it. Just after that, the Carnival Games area bulged in chaotic crowds of laughing people, shouting encouragement as they tried to win plush Freddy's character prizes. So here we get another mention of the carnival area, and we can safely put that in the 1 o'clock spot because we know they are walking clockwise around the Pizzaplex. And in terms of Happs, that is unfortunately all we get. We are aware that it does connect to Under Construction's AR booth and Pressure's roleplay area, but we do not get any information on where they will be placed. So for those of you who don't want spoilers for Somnophobia, that is going to be all the information I have for you. Remember to save this video in your mind or in your watch later playlist so you can come back to it after you've read through Somnophobia. For those of you who have read the leaks or the book, let's continue. So the story we're going to be taking all this from is the mind-blowing story of Cleithrophobia. The story opens up with Kim, who is looking up at the same stained glass dome that was mentioned in Happs earlier. They also mention how the Pizzaplex was pizza-shaped. Eric tapped the map, pointing at a cutesy illustration of happy-faced bumper cars. Then he nodded over his shoulder at the real bumper cars, which were careening around a small area. "We're here," Eric said unnecessarily. "Guess I need to put a happy face on the bumper cars real quick." There we go. Chica, for example, hovered over a drawing of a giant swing that was to the left of the bumper cars. That would place Chica's swings, or whatever the attraction is, onto the 6 o'clock spot. To the left of the swing, a bright yellow arrow pointed at a row of smiley-faced stick figures lining up for roller coaster cars. I'm gonna guess that means the Fast Freddy roller coaster entrance is in the 5 o'clock spot, and it's here where we run into a big problem. The next attraction should be the roleplay venue, but we have Blast there instead. Then straight after we have Freddy's Fortress with no mention of an arcade or carnival, so there's actually conflicting information here. It may seem counterintuitive, but we're actually going to get rid of everything we got from Happs and see how it goes. Her finger traced over a drawing of a costume closet. That was the Urban Legends Roleplay Auditorium. So, to the left of the Fast Freddy, we're going to have the roleplay area. There's the entrance to the tubes, Eric said. He pointed a neon archway just past the roleplay area. The arches opened up to a hallway painted with black and white pinwheels that looked like they were spinning. On the map, the climbing tubes looked like entwined snakes with smiley faces, and they were formed into a shape vaguely resembling an extensive castle with seemingly endless loops. This was Freddy's Fortress. So clearly here, we have Freddy's Fortress in the 3 o'clock position instead of the 2 o'clock position. But we will go over this again later, hopefully. After the roleplay venue and the climbing tubes, the map had a drawing of a tilt-a-whirl made to look like Chica's cupcake with multiple arms and legs. That puts a tilt-a-whirl in the 2 o'clock position. A shout coming from her right caught Kim's attention. A crew of Pizzaplex workers were clustered around the AR booth, which stood between the tilt-a-whirl and the theatre in the middle of the Pizzaplex. The glass dome was filled with smoke. So this of course is the AR booth from Under Construction. Let's first add the theatre in the centre of the Pizzaplex. Then of course the AR booth would go here, which makes complete sense because in Under Construction Maya and her friends did point out the roleplay area and Freddy's Fortress, so they had to be in view from the AR booth. Alicia tried to drag Kim and the boys into the clothing and souvenir shop as they passed it. Alicia was a shopaholic. Her mom gave her a massive allowance. That places the shops in the 1 o'clock spot. Just past the shops, the aromas of pizza sauce and cheese wafting from the main dining room enticed all 4 of them. That keeps the dining area in the same spot. Wide-eyed, Kim and her friends passed the carousel. On the map, the carousel looked like a giant sombrero. Adorable caricatures of Freddy's animatronic characters sat along the wide brim of the hat-like image. Previously we put the carousel in front of the dining area, but I feel this implies it's next to it, so I will put it in the 11 o'clock spot. After the carousel they passed the arcade. Eric started chattering about all the arcade games. Eric had listed games memorized on their map. That puts the arcade at 10 o'clock. Next to the arcade on the map, a drawing of 2 crossed laser guns indicated the laser tag arena. That puts the laser tag arena at 9 o'clock. And then the final location is mentioned to not have an illustration on the map, and we know that to be the boarded up Ballora's Fitness and Flex. Now here's the thing. Clearly there are things that are inconsistent between the map told to us in Happs and the map shown to us in Cleithrophobia. I would like to mention a few things, however. There are small things that can be fixed. Freddy's Fortress is able to go back to 2 o'clock. It would just mean that the tilt-a-whirl shops and carnival games area would take up less space. The inconsistencies that aren't forgivable, however, are the ones where the laser tag arena, which should be next to Freddy's Fortress, is on the opposite end of the Pizzaplex. So of course, we're only 3 books in, so all of this can be cleared up, but for now, here are the 2 maps that I have made. If you think you can do any better, give it a try and be sure to send it to me on Discord or Twitter. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you later. Goodbye.